So the Stupak amendment went much further. And the Senate version kind of tries to find a balance, and it basically has made both sides angry. So
Yeah.
it's, to the point where,
It has.
so now neither side is
It
happy
has.
with that language.
Yeah.
Both
So-
sides are confusing.
And both sides are confused by it. It is, and it's interjected another element to what's already a very complex
Yeah.
debate about healthcare,
And a very emotional one. too.
very emotional one, and very, very emotionally charged. And it was very clear before that federal money cannot be used for abortions. And I respect people who have that opinion, and that was in the House version before. The Stupak amendment took it even further, though, and the key is trying to find the right balance. Although ultimately, my goal is that we have to focus on that. This is a healthcare bill first and foremost. Let's focus on that.
And just further to that one thing, I have a different question, but just as the President said and the Speaker of the House said, this health reform bill, or the two bills, this is not an abortion bill.
No, but
And right, I respect people
I
and their
need to have
views.
answers for people.
Right.
Here, believe
So,
it is.
but the point of it is, the one reason I really came here tonight too, and I've written to your office and emailed and the whole thing, just to let you know, but to encourage you, and to encourage you strongly. And if you could encourage your colleagues in the Democratic caucus to go ahead and pass this bill as soon as possible. Because I think that there is, my own view is that there is a large, relatively quiet majority in favor of this. These are the people who voted in 2008 for the president and for overwhelming Democratic majorities in the House and in the Senate for this kind of change. And I fear that it would be demoralizing, not just to Democrats, but to this entire base who did this in 2008 not to accomplish this. And I understand that there are going to be congressmen and constituencies within the Democratic Party, because I'm convinced the Democrats will have to do it. There will be constituencies with either abortion or public option or this or that, that may not be 100% pleased, may not even be 80% pleased. But this is something, all in all, I agree with the President. This is something that's going to accomplish a lot for the Americans. And I would encourage you to do whatever you can and let us know what else we can do, because this is going to be something, and I wanted to ask your opinion about this. What can we do besides write letters to congressmen, even not just to you, but to other congressmen, to encourage them to support this? Is there anything else? Because I figured this is all coming to a head in March. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think it'll be on I don't know what the timeline will be ultimately. I know a lot of folks would like to have it before April, and we're back for the Easter part. So that's 3 weeks from where we are today. So there's not a lot of time for that, and they've got to get the bill. It's got to be written, put forward as to how we would accommodate the changes with the Senate version. Then it's got to go to the CEO for scoring. So all that takes some time, but it's important to have that reflection to do it. But I agree with you that the problem isn't going away. The problem of and healthcare reform is necessary for all the reasons I mentioned earlier on. The costs can keep going up. More and more people are losing their healthcare coverage. Small businesses can't afford it. The ranks of the uninsured continue to go up. And certainly that's a major moral issue that we all care very deeply about as well. So that something has to be done. We want to make sure it's done as intelligently as possible and as thoughtfully as possible, and there's been a lot of effort going forward to do that as we go forward. But you're right, too, even within the Democratic Party, there are a lot of different constituencies where we are truly a very big tent of the party. And I see that in the Democratic caucus every day that I'm in there. We have Blue Dogs Democrats who are very conservative. We've got the moderates, and then we've got the Progressive Caucus. We represent the wide ethnic diversity of America. You look at our caucus, it represents the ethnic diversity of America, and the gender diversity. You don't necessarily see that on the other side. They don't represent that.
I have a suggestion, but this is what we do. We don't bother to write to our congressman. We create every relative that we have who is in Maine, writing and calling up Olympia Snow every chance they have, saying, we're registered Democrats, but we think you're really wonderful. And then they call Susan Collins. No, I'm very serious about it.
You're right.
We don't preach to the choir. We go to everybody in other states. When the Massachusetts, the massacre in Massachusetts, as we call it, Pete was on the phone the day before calling every relative he has, and he has a whole bunch of them in Massachusetts. And we get them out to vote, and we get them to write letters, and we get them to send emails. Because we're not gonna waste our time on you. So there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And then in a positive way, I know. But the other thing that is important, back to your question too, I'm sorry, but back to your question too, which is certainly putting on those who you might be able to convince. But it's also, back to what I said about engaging neighbors and friends, because a lot of it is public opinion too. Is that you've got to build public support for this, and there's so much misinformation on the other side, and they're very loud. As you know, they're out
right outdoors.
outdoors, they're very loud, and
People are turned off by that, believe me.
Yeah.
A lot of America's turned off by that.
well, and I think then what we need to do is making sure we're engaging our neighbors and friends in a civil discussion that's based on fact, and talk about the facts of it, and talk. And you all have circles of friends, and some of them don't agree with you, or don't have, who don't have whatever impression of what this is. But you have to engage them, because this is about the country coming together in a dialogue that we need to have. This is an issue that has been there for 40 years. If it was easy, it would have been done 40 years ago. It's not easy. It's a tough issue. And when you're dealing with the reforms in the healthcare industry, I mean, we're butting against some pretty powerful interests, like the insurance companies, who are very concerned about some of this stuff, and they'll put a lot of money into the system to push back. So we've got to be able to push. Part of the strength of what happened when President Obama ran, and your organization, was there was incredible outpouring of people coming together with the belief that we could make this change, and America coming together, a real cross-section of America. And I'm afraid, though, that some of that energy is that once we elected the president, and once we got a Democratic Congress, well then, now everything's taken care of and we don't need to be engaged. And I think that's a big mistake, because what happened was the other side got very engaged in it, and are very, very loud. You've got a 24-hour news cycle that likes to cover that stuff, whether it's Fox News or any of the other channels as well. So it's a very important. It's very important for folks who have a different view to make that voice heard, because it is incredible. And that's why this meeting here is important, obviously, to keep this engaged, keep you engaged. But you've got to engage your friends and relatives to do that. And if we can do this, we can get the folks who are supportive of the president all across this country talking to just a handful of their friends. That's a lot of people. And get that message out to build that kind of support, so that people get the facts.
May I ease your mind a little bit? The Senate passed this bill with a supermajority. The House with majority. It's already passed. Now they have to refine it. But to ease your mind a little bit, they're going to do what it takes. They're going to do what it takes. Feel confident. And the Democrats in power right now, they're not going to misuse that power. They're going to do the best for the people. To ease your mind, it passed with a supermajority in the Senate, and that is unheard of.
Can we get some other question? I've got some more hands up. She's had her hand up.
So I'll let you call people.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's safer if
It's okay.
someone else calls.
No,
Please.
I have been sitting here with exactly your thoughts, and my friends and I have been extremely frustrated with you,
With me.
with the Senate, with the House, with the Democrats. Well, there have been times, I will tell you, but I'm telling you, get up and talk back to some of these people. I feel so sorry for this president. I think it's time for the Democrats to organize us, get us out in the streets. Let everybody see. People don't talk to one another. You know, if it wasn't for Judy, who started pulling everybody together, but look at us, there's as many in Rochester. There's a lot of people sitting in their homes tonight who are Democrats. But they never get any word from the Democratic Party, and it's like you're afraid. It's like you're afraid of those people, and we're not. We're not afraid of Rush Limbaugh. We don't care what the hell they say. We don't, because it's lies. I do care if that intelligent man is up against a wall with nobody standing with him. I want to see you.
Right?
Yes. I want to see
Rush
you
Limbaugh.
people.